Croft, our greeters, Deb Bahab and Patsy Sachs, our technical team, Daniel Goodsit and John Forsyth, our co-music directors, Abby and Sean Allison, and our guest speaker this morning, Sensei Lori Kido Lyons. I'd like to welcome all of you online, in the sanctuary, and yes, even on the pavilion. Thank you for joining us. If you are viewing online, we hope you will make yourself known in the live chat so that we can say hello, and we also hope you might email our administrator, Anna Riazzi, at office@uunaples.org so that we can include you in our regular email notices, which includes all of our educational and community building activities here and online. We do wish to remind everyone present and viewing online that UUCGN endorses and will continue to follow current CDC guidelines. From the beginning of this pandemic, we have graciously accepted restrictions to our in-person gathering because we are committed to protecting the most vulnerable among us. To that end, we respectfully request that masks be worn by all who are joining in the sanctuary. For those of you on the pavilion, a mask remains optional, but if you have not yet been vaccinated, please wear a mask. Now, this morning, we are delighted to welcome a kindred spirit as our guest speaker, Sensei Lori Kido Lyons, Director of Zen and the Arts in Naples. Lori has been practicing yoga and meditation for over 25 years. In 2003, she began studying Zen, and in 2010 took Jukai, lay Buddhist vows, receiving the Dharma name Kido, meaning bright truth. Lori received Dharma transmission, full authorization to teach Zen, in 2018. Further, Lori works as a musician. She performed as a percussionist with the Naples Phil for over 20 years and currently teaches piano lessons to students of all ages. Welcome, Sensei. We are honored to have you with us. Now, let's sit back, take a deep breath or two, and settle into our time of worship as Abby and Sean play this morning's prelude.
Abby, that was really lovely. Thank you. So good morning, everyone. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for the warm welcome. Our opening words this morning come from a traditional Zen story called The Empty Cup. Nanin, a Japanese master during the Meiji era, received a university professor who came to inquire about Zen. Nanin served tea. He poured his visitor's cup full and then kept on pouring. The professor watched the overflow until he no longer could restrain himself. "It is over full. No more will go in," he said. "Like this cup," Nanin said, "you are full of your own opinions and speculations. How can I show you Zen unless you first empty your cup?" So as we reflect on this story this morning, I'll invite all of you to consider the possibility of emptying your cup this morning, whatever this means to you, creating space to receive all the elements of this morning's service, the music, the words, everything you encounter, with an open mind, open heart. When we come together in this way, what we create together can be entirely new, even magical. So even if you've heard these words that we're about to recite with the lighting of the chalice, even if you've heard these words and said them out loud 1,000 times before, can you hear them and speak them as if for the first time ever? So really keeping an open mind and an empty cup this morning. Thank you.
Please join me in our chalice lighting response on the screen. May this flame stir our hearts and remind us of our mission to be truly welcoming, to grow in mind and spirit, and to widen the circle of peace, justice, and love. Now let's join together in singing our opening hymn, number 346, in the gray hymnal, "Come Sing a Song with Me." You should also find the words on the screen.
And a rose in the winter time. Come dream a dream with me. Come dream a dream with me. Come dream a dream with me, that I might know your mind. And I'll bring you hope when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time. Sing a song with me, come with me, come sing and reign with me, that I might know your mind. And I'll bring you hope when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time. Come share a rose with me. Come share a rose with me. and I'll bring you hope when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time.
Shundi Suzuki Roshi is renowned for founding the first Zen Buddhist monastery outside Asia, the Tassajara Zen Mountain Center on the California Central Coast. In Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind, he asserts that in the beginner's mind, there are many possibilities, but in the expert's mind, there are few. In Japanese, there is a word shoshin, which means beginner's mind. The goal of Zen meditation is always to keep one's beginner's mind. Suppose you recite the UUCGN mission statement noted right over there on the wall, to be truly welcoming, to grow in mind and spirit, and to widen the circle of peace, justice, and love, only once. Well, it might be a very good recitation, but what happens when you recite it twice, 3 times, 40 times, or more? You easily lose the original attitude towards it. The same thing may happen in other life practices. For while you keep your beginner's mind, but if you continue to practice 1, 2, 3 years or more, although you may improve some, you are liable to lose the limitless meaning of the original mind. Now, the practice of Zen encourages us to hold on to our self-sufficient state of mind. This does not mean a closed mind, but actually a ready mind. If your mind is ready for anything, it is open to everything. And now let's center our mind and spirit with hymn 338 in the gray hymnal, I Seek the Spirit of a Child, or follow along with the words on the screen.
I seek the spirit of a child, the child who meets life naturally, the child who sings the world alive and greets the morning sun with glee. Children are real beyond all, Lord. May I see joy's a gift to our heart. I seek the freedom of a child who loves instinctively, who lights our day with just a smile and shines that light on all we see. Children are real beyond all fears. May I see hope's a gift to our tears. I seek the wonder of a child who sees delightfully. Now clouds and cloud, now golden sun, imaginations true and free. Children are real beyond all lies. May I see faith's a gift to our eyes.
Each week during our service, we set aside this time for community, a time we come together to share our individual joys or sorrows, and in doing so, build bonds of love and understanding. We are a welcoming community where we find connection. We are a spiritual community where we find meaning. We are a sharing community where our joys are amplified and our sorrows are lessened. Accordingly, at this time, we remember those in our lives who are struggling or who are celebrating milestones. We honor those in the wider community who are ill, who have lost a loved one, or who serve others. We hold them in our hearts. Regardless of the time you are joining us, now or later in the week, and regardless of whether you are here in the sanctuary, on the pavilion, or online, please take a moment to reflect quietly, or as I move my arm from your right to left, speak aloud the name or names of those in joy or sorrow that you carry in your heart. And now, as I light the candle in memory of those you hold dear, let us enter into our time of meditation with Sensei Lori Lyons and a beginner's mind meditation.
I'd like to lead you through a guided meditation that will hopefully evoke this experience of a beginner's mind. So please begin by settling into your seat. You can allow the eyes to close if you're comfortable with that. Just find a nice balanced position. And take a moment to soften the whole body. Just see if you can relax even just a little bit. And still the whole body. Directing your attention inward. And begin to connect to your breath. Nothing special to do with the breath, just allowing the inhales to come, allowing the exhales to go. And reflecting that this inhale will be the only inhale just like this that you have ever breathed. And this exhale will be the only exhale just like this that you have ever breathed out. So experiencing the life, the newness of every single breath. Now scanning your body for other sensations, see if you can locate a sensation in your body that's entirely new, something maybe you weren't aware of until just now. Any sensation at all. And getting to know this new sensation revealing itself to you as part of your experience. Now let's begin to expand our awareness outward to become aware of the sanctuary, aware of the other people that you're worshiping with this morning. And can you identify something new here? Perhaps someone next to you that you've never met before. And being open to this person. Perhaps someone next to you that you've known for 20 years. And meeting that person as if for the first time. So having this feeling in the body and the mind of encountering everything as if for the first time. Now, as we prepare to hear a musical meditation offered by Abby at the piano, can you listen with the beginner's mind, letting go of any expectations or desires, simply opening the ears and receiving these sounds as a gift?
Could that have been a more perfect selection? I don't think so. When should you struggle, and when should you be still? What is the correct balance between action and contemplation? Poet and writer of over 80 books of poetry, essays, and criticism, Wendell Berry recommends the following. I go among trees and sit still. All my stirring becomes quiet around me, like circles on water. My tasks lie in their places where I left them asleep, like cattle. Then what is afraid of me comes and lives a while in my sight. What it fears in me leaves me, and the fear of me leaves it. It sings, and I hear its song. Then what I am afraid of comes. I live for a while in its sight. What I fear in it leaves it, and the fear of it leaves me. It sings, and I hear its song.
Earlier in this service, you heard Martin share this quote from Suzuki Roshi. In the beginner's mind, there are many possibilities. In the expert's mind, there are few. So I thought we could examine this quote a little bit, considering what is this beginner's mind. From the time we're in school-age children, kindergarten, first grade, we're taught to absorb, take it all in. How much can you learn? How much can you hold on to? How much knowledge can you accumulate? What skills can you learn? And this is all helpful and important. We use this knowledge and all these skills that we learn in school, from our families, from our communities, to create a model, a working model. We use this model to understand the world around us. This is how we make sense of our lives and how we come to understand our place in the world. So this is important and helpful and provides some feeling of security and safety. We feel rooted and grounded, and we feel like this knowledge can carry us through our lives. But what happens when we encounter something that doesn't fit into this model? I'm sure we've all had this experience. What happens when something surprises us, when something just doesn't make sense? When something happens that that is entirely new? How does it feel to not know, to be in this place of just confusion? So often we might feel a little bit of fear, some feeling of anxiety. We might feel even threatened by this change of experience, this new experience. And often we don't like to stay in this place for very long. So if something feels unfamiliar or new, we often rush to a place where we can understand it. We start to go through our catalog of previous experiences and try to fit this new thing into our model. And we don't often spend time in these places of not knowing, these places of insecurity. And there's so much to be gained or to be learned from settling into these places, from allowing ourselves to rest in this discomfort just for a little while. So the challenge here is to be okay even when we don't know. And even beyond being okay, to embrace these opportunities, to sink into them and rest here and consider what these places have to teach us. So we can practice this beginner's mind in small and big ways. A couple of very simple examples when we eat or taste a bite of food. Now, we've all heard this word mindfulness. So to take a bite of food mindfully might mean for you that you slow down, perhaps pause before you place the food into your mouth, feel your body, notice the sensations in your mouth, perhaps notice the smell of the food, take that bite of food, and really know that you're taking that bite of food. This beginner's mind, however, goes a little bit beyond this mindfulness idea. With the mindfulness, you're knowing you're tasting this bite of food. With beginner's mind, you don't know what that bite of food is. So you're tasting this food as if you've never tasted corn before, as if this is your first ever taste of tomato soup, whatever it is, as if for the first time. You may have a grandchild, or you may remember your own child tasting bacon for the first time. And the response of this child encountering something so amazing for the first time. So the idea here is encountering everything in this way. I also thought of this example of planning your day. How many of us wake up in the morning and go through our list for the day and really imagine how the day is going to go? How often does it actually go that way? Precisely that way, right? And we can become so attached to our schedules that we get quite anxious, quite upset when a phone call comes that alters our day, when something different happens. So with these small things, it might be a little more accessible to work with these beginner's mind, and we work with these small things so that when we encounter the bigger questions, the deeper issues in our lives, we're a little more prepared. For example, what is love? Do I know what love is? How many of us can claim to know what love is? The questions of life and death. What is my life all about? What is death? Why am I going to die? Why do I suffer in this way? So, how many of us have been in love and had the experience of knowing that partner? I've got this all figured out. I know what he's going to do or she's going to do. I know we're going to be in this particular place 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now? And how often are we surprised by something out of this partner's mouth? Somebody we've known for 30 years, and all of a sudden, who is this person? So how can we bring a beginner's mind into these relationships? So as we move through our lives, we begin to get a better sense, if we're paying attention, we get a better sense of how little we actually know, and we begin to gain perspective. So I started to think of it like this. So if in the beginning, when we're first aware of how much we know, we might imagine what we know to be like the size of a pea, about this much, and the entire world to be the size of a basketball, about this much. So I've got a little ways to go, and I'm looking forward to learning that. And then we grow, and that pea size gets bigger and bigger, and then maybe when we're teenagers, we've got it all figured out. So I'm the basketball, I've got this, I know it all. And then we pay attention a little bit longer, have more experiences, encounter more surprises, more moments of not knowing and confusion. And then this perspective changes. Maybe we've still got the basketball, but what's out there, what's available to us is like the size of the moon. We begin to expand our awareness to think of what's possible. And then we go even further, and then maybe what we feel like we know shrinks back to that pea size. It begins to feel quite small again, right? So now I know about the size of a pea, but what's possible, what's really out there is unfathomable. It's not the moon, it's much bigger. It's even bigger than the universe. We can't even conceptualize how much is out there. Yet the pea, this tiny little piece of the universe that we call me, is so important, is vital to this vast universe. When we really sink into this pea and own this pea and cherish this pea-sized knowledge that we have, we begin to feel this great humility and this great wonder for everything that's out there, and this great appreciation for this opportunity we have to even realize that we are this pea, to really be this pea. So when I was doing some research, I really wanted to learn about the UU Church, and it's interesting that there's this long history of relationship between the UU Church and Zen groups. There are many Zen groups that happen to also have teachers that are UU ministers, or Zen groups that share space with UU churches. So I was curious about this relationship and wanted to learn about the 7 principles, and really enjoyed reading these, and was particularly struck and so excited when I encountered the 7th principle. So I'll read this. This is the 7th principle. Respect for the interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part. Respect for the interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part. And I was so moved by this because this is in perfect alignment with fundamental Buddhist teaching. In Buddhism, we have this metaphor called Indra's net. You may have heard of this, you may have not. So the image that this evokes here is a web, like a spider's web or a net, and this web extends in all directions throughout all of space. So we can't even imagine how big it is. It's infinite. And this web expands in all directions in time. So all the way back to the beginning of planet Earth, to the beginning of the universe, all the way forward into the future, infinitely. And at the intersection, every single intersection of this web, there sits a jewel. At every single intersection, a tiny little jewel, often described as a diamond. And each of these jewels is us. We are all these jewels. And the beautiful thing about this Indra's net is that each of these jewels has reflected in it all the other jewels from all space and all time. People we have never known, people we never will know, plants, animals, all things are reflected in you right now, in this moment. It all comes together right here. And it goes the other way as well. Our own sparkliness or pea knowledge or whatever you like, we are reflected in all the other jewels. So it's really difficult to fully comprehend the magnitude of this, what this means. But just to give you a sense, this means that every word you speak matters, whether people hear it or not, whether people make sense of it or agree with it or not. Every action you take matters. Even every thought you think has a ripple effect and moves into Indra's net in ways we can never fully understand. So this is so big that we can't understand it, yet we can feel some sense of wonder. We can feel this connection of Indra's net, and we can really get a sense of our place in it in a very humble, awe-inspiring way. So I want to close with an invitation for all of us, and the invitation here, the encouragement, is to explore this week, as you move through your week, this feeling of a beginner's mind, looking for opportunities, maybe even just one moment each day where you encounter something for the first time, driving your car the same familiar route. Maybe you take a different turn, go another way. Or listening to a piece of music you've heard 1,000 times, maybe you turn the volume up, and maybe you sit still and listen to that piece of music. So looking for these opportunities to practice a beginner's mind, and also remembering this Indra's net as you move into your week, understanding that that person that you meet in the grocery store is another jewel in that net, that car that you whiz by, or that car that cuts you off and you honk at them, is also another jewel in Indra's net, getting a sense for this interconnection. So I just want to thank you all so much for having me here. I felt very welcomed. It's such a warm congregation. Even with few numbers, I feel a whole lot of love here. So thank you for that. And I hope to get to know all of you better. And we'll now prepare for the offering. Thanks.
I'm going to begin by saying thank you, Lori. That was really good. I should say thank you, Sensei. That was excellent and much for us to reflect. As we consider today's message, and as we listen to Abby and Sean play Reverie by Debussy, let's also take time to give thanks for this community and all that it does. This morning's offering will be greatly received. If you're at home, the information you need to donate is on the screen. These few moments are dedicated to any major announcements or information about upcoming all-congregational events. Everything you need to know about all of the ongoing activities here at UUCGN you can find in our Sunday news, the weekly news email, or by going online to our website at uunaples.org. Next week, we hope you'll be able to join us for our own Kathy Sharon at the pulpit, followed by Reverend Tony's return on Sunday the 15th, when we'll be celebrating the official start of the new congregational year and hopeful restart of our religious exploration program. It will be great, as it is today, to be together again. But now, let's join together as Abby and Sean lead us in our closing hymn, number 1009 in the Teal hymnal, Meditation on Breathing, the words on the screen. Have you got your breath yet? Okay, good.
And I think most of you know how this goes, but we're going to all start with the drone, and we're going to sing that maybe, 2 or 3 times through. And then those of you who wish to can join me on the melody, while those of you who wish to can stay on the drone. And then as you are moved to, if you want to sing the descant, go for it. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. One more. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, when I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, when I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out.
This morning's closing words are excerpted from Desiderata by American lawyer and poet Max Ehrman. Go placidly amid the noise and haste, and remember what peace there may be in silence. Without surrender, be on good terms with all persons. Speak your truth quietly and clearly, and listen to others. Take kindly the counsel of your years, and rely on your strength of spirit to shield you in sudden misfortune. Be gentle with yourself and at peace with your soul. Strive to be happy. May it ever be so.